This program is intended to assist you in making an informed decision about your pregnancy. It presents medically accurate, unbiased, factual information about the options available to you. The program consists of this video and a companion printed handbook. If you don't have a copy of the handbook with you now, please ask for one before you continue viewing this video.
Sometimes it seems like life is full of pressures and decisions. And some of those decisions aren't always easy to deal with. While you can't make the problems just go away, you can make informed decisions. And even though it might seem like you have to face this all by yourself right now, the truth is, you're not alone. Hi, I'm Rebecca Sanabria. Have you ever looked through one of these? A kaleidoscope? I always think it's kind of neat the way everything is all jumbled up, and then you move it just a little bit, and everything sort of falls into place and makes this really cool design. And sometimes, you know, life can be that way too, especially when you have to make a difficult decision. Things can seem confusing at first. You might feel angry, depressed, relieved, scared, or you might not even want to admit that it's happening. It's okay to feel like that. Being pregnant can be scary and confusing, but you do have options. I'd like to tell you a little bit about your options so that you can make a decision about your pregnancy that's right for you. One of the things that I like to do when I have to make a difficult choice is to really make sure that I've thought everything through. I figured out that if I know as much as I can about something, it sometimes is less scary or confusing. Hopefully, this video will provide some of the information you'll need, but you'll want to read the handbook and talk some more to your doctor. Once I know as much as I can about the choices I have, I can figure out how each decision might affect my life and other people who are involved. I've also talked about really tough decisions with my friends or family before. It might help you too if there's somebody around you really trust. Sometimes a family member or a friend can help you look at things in a way you may not have already thought of. And then, when I've really thought everything through, I make a decision that's right for me. Anyway, doing all these things doesn't always make the decision any easier, but I usually feel better knowing that I've thought everything through to make a choice that works for me. I'd like you to do that too. As we talk about your 3 options, abortion, becoming a parent, and adoption, think about what I've said, and think about how you're going to make your decision. Something else I'd like you to keep in mind too is the importance of taking care of yourself. You know, what you eat, getting plenty of sleep, staying away from cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs, that kind of thing. Taking care of yourself is important, not only so you can make a well thought out decision right now, it's also important for your future. And one other thing, even though it might seem like it right now, you are not in this alone. There are people out there who care about you, can help you think through this, and help you make a choice that's right for you.
If I have this baby, how can I afford to raise it?
If I have an abortion, is it something I'll think about forever?
If she decides not to have it, does anybody have to know?
Am I going to have, you know, medical problems and not be able to have kids later if I do this?
Ending a pregnancy through abortion is one of your options, and there are some things you should know about it before you make your decision. So, we've asked some people to answer a few of the most common questions about abortion. We'll talk about the medical facts, as well as some of the feelings you may experience. We'll also talk a little bit about who needs to be involved in making that decision.
An abortion is ending a pregnancy that is unwanted, either by surgical means or by medication. The most common abortions are performed in the United States in the first trimester. Occasionally, abortions are done in the second trimester, and almost never in the third trimester, and that is only for the life and health of the mother. The way abortion is done most commonly in the U.S. is through Section D and C. And that is where we go in and we remove your pregnancy by use of the Section D and C technique. But the main risks in ending a pregnancy in the first trimester are very, very rare. Less than 1 in 100 women with early first trimestral abortion will have any kind of a serious risk. The most common side effects, that means these are things that are likely going to occur after your abortion, are bleeding, not like a menstrual period. This is post-surgical bleeding, so it's a little bit different, and your counselors will go over with you what to expect. In addition, some women will have some cramps. Not surprising. I'm sure a lot of times you already cramp with your periods. Risks that are not acceptable, meaning that they're complications, are things such as infection, fever, heavy bleeding. Your counselors and the nurses will go over these with you. And again, these occur very rarely. Surgical abortion is one of the safest procedures that we know. Now, you may also want to know, what are the long-term risks? Will I be able to have a baby in the future? And the answer is most probably yes.
You also need to consider how having an abortion might make you feel emotionally. So here's some things for you to think about.
Women have lots of different feelings when they undergo an abortion. Just the whole decision-making process can really lead to a lot of very strong feelings. You may feel anger, loss, sadness, grief. Some women actually feel relieved. No two women are alike, and whatever you're feeling is completely and totally natural. Now, you may be wondering, how is this going to affect me long term? And that's a very important question to wonder about, because the decision that you make today is a decision that's going to affect you for the rest of your life.
Emotions really vary between different patients. There are times where a patient will feel relief, sometimes sadness, sometimes anger. There is a sense of loss that some patients feel. In some circumstances, depending on the situation, some patients may experience some long-term emotional impact. The most important thing to remember, though, is that it's natural to feel these emotions and that you just need to work through them.
Well, I feel that having an abortion was personally the right decision for me for a number of reasons. First of all, though I felt I was a fairly mature teenager, I was well aware and insightful enough to realize that I was not emotionally ready in any way to have a baby, and I certainly was not mentally or financially ready to have a baby. I was also fortunate. I never regretted it. I never, I can't say everybody will feel like I felt, but I never was upset about it or cried about it. It was just a decision I made, and it was said and done, and that was it, and I went on with my life. And as I look back, I'm grateful at that, because I did get to go to school, and I did have a child when I was financially and emotionally ready, and that turned out to be a positive experience instead of a negative experience, because I was ready at the time.
Making the decision to have an abortion isn't easy for anyone, no matter what their age or situation. And before you decide, you need to know who should be involved in making the decision.
A pregnant minor considering an abortion should consult with her health care provider to obtain current information about the law's notice requirement and possible alternatives.
We encourage the girls to talk to the father about the decision to have an abortion. If the father is a minor, he may be just as confused as the girl, but the decision ultimately lies in the hands of the girl.
I know you probably still have a lot of questions about abortion, and that's okay. We've included some additional information in the handbook that goes along with this program. There's even a list of places you can call or write to get even more information. If you want to stop the tape and look through the information on abortion in your handbook right now, please do. Remember, this program is here to help you make a decision that's right for you. So, take as much time as you want looking through the information, and I'll be here when you're ready to find out more about another option you have, becoming a parent.
I know some girls who got married, and they're doing okay.
Even if we didn't get married, he said he'd help out.
I want to do the right thing, but I'm not ready. You know, it just wouldn't be fair to anybody.
My parents might be upset at first, but I know they'll help me out.
Having the baby and becoming a parent is another one of your options. And again, there's some things that you need to be aware of before you make your decision. We'll talk about the medical side of pregnancy and delivery and how becoming a parent can affect your life.
It is very important for the pregnant expecting mothers to take good care of themselves, and that includes taking good nutritional intake for the moms, because mother has to provide for both herself and her baby's nutritional needs. And with the changing body and the rapidly growing child, those nutritional needs are different. It is important for the moms to take all items of good nutrition, including proteins, dairy groups, meat groups, milk groups, very important. Calcium needs are. Baby's body rapidly grows, and the baby's brain development takes care of itself during the prenatal life, which is before birth. So mother's nutrition does have an impact on how healthy the baby is going to be.
You shouldn't use any alcohol whatsoever in any amount in pregnancy. It's not at all safe. Smoking, you can't do that either. It's very important not to smoke in pregnancy, because when you smoke, your baby smokes too. That really impacts the placenta and the baby's ability to get adequate blood circulation. Babies don't grow as well. Drugs of any kind should not be taken during pregnancy without expressed permission from your doctor. There's a lot of different things that you look at a pregnancy besides age in determining safety. We used to think that it was very dangerous for women to have babies at a very young age or a very old age, and we now find that with good prenatal care, a lot of those risks can be reduced. The most important thing is how you take care of yourself and how you take care of your baby, and how well you follow the recommendations of your doctor. It's real important to listen carefully to what they're telling you and to follow those recommendations very closely. Now, pregnancy comes with risks. These risks occur at any age, and they can occur during the pregnancy, they can occur during the delivery. Certainly the risks of pregnancy and the risks of delivery are no reason for you to eliminate the possibility of considering your baby to term if that's what you want to do.
Now let's talk a little bit about how your life might change if you choose to become a parent. No matter what your age, becoming a parent is something that has a major impact on the lifestyle that you're used to.
When you decide that you want to become a parent, there's a lot of emotional things that you go through. There's a lot of happiness, a lot of joy at looking down at a new infant that you've brought into the world. There's also some sadness and some hard times. There'll be some new challenges you'll experience as far as going on with your education if you choose to do that, and looking at if you're employed now and if that will make any difference in having to choose another job. But if you look at the awesome responsibility of being a parent and the importance of doing as best as you can as a parent, I think that you can have a wonderful experience and really raise a happy, healthy child. Probably one of the most important things you need to be thinking about is where you'll be staying after the baby is born. Will you be living at home, or is there another option where you feel safe with the baby and people accept you? You also have to look at, where you've been working in your employment and how that might change as, the needs of the baby changes. And then education. There's a lot of different places where you can go with your baby and have childcare provided. So you need to start looking for those type of places that are really baby friendly in schools. And another important consideration is how you're going to go from there. And as that baby grows, what type of support things do you have for you so that, you know, you can still go out with friends and you can still have fun and be a good parent. Something else that is kind of hard to think about, but you really need to prepare for is the cost of raising a child. And you look at diapers and formula and all the neat baby items, crib, everything that the baby needs while they're growing up costs a lot of money. We've had a lot of young people that have had one baby and then possibly another, and they've done it. They've gone through high school and they've gone to college and they've been very successful. And you can do it if you choose to do it. It's a lot of hard work, but it can be done.
I feel it's really a good decision because I have a lot of fun with my daughter now. And I just think back, you know, I'm really glad that I did decide to make that decision. She's a part of me and she'll always be a part of me, and it gives us, you know, a lot of sharing time together and things to do, and I'm just really thankful for making that decision. If you do positive things and show positive things in front of your child, you will, you know, almost guaranteed to have a positive child, which is really a good feeling.
Just like abortion, choosing to have the baby and become a parent isn't always an easy choice to make. And there are others who should be involved in making that decision.
A father of a child is legally responsible for the financial support of a child. This includes both support after the child is born and for reasonable costs of pregnancy and medical expenses. If the mother seeks public assistance, the father may be required by the state to contribute to the financial support of the child. It's a woman's decision whether to carry the pregnancy through to term. But once a baby is born, the father has some legal rights to be involved in a number of decisions affecting the child.
These are just a few of the things that you need to know about becoming a parent, but there's a lot more. Again, we've included additional information in the handbook and a list of places to call or write to get more. So, if you want to stop the tape and look through the information on becoming a parent in the handbook right now, please do. Take as much time as you need.
Adoption seems like the right thing, but what if the baby grows up and feels like I left it?
Will they even let me see the baby when it's born?
If we do this adoption thing, how much is it going to cost?
He can't stop me from doing it. Not if I want to. It's my decision, right?
Carrying the pregnancy to term and placing the baby for adoption is another one of your options. And just like the options of abortion or becoming a parent, there are some things you should be aware of before you make your decision. That's especially true because a lot of things have changed about adoption in the last few years. We now have a lot more open adoptions where you know who adopts your baby and can keep in contact with them if you choose to. They're the kind of changes that can help you make your decision.
Placing a child for adoption involves permanently transferring the parental rights of the birth parents to an adoptive family. There's a whole range of openness in adoption today, from a completely closed adoption where no information is exchanged to a fully open adoption where complete identifying information is exchanged. It's a good idea for birth parents to be working with a professional advisor to help them decide how much communication will be right for them and for the adoptive family and for the child, both before and after the adoption takes place. Birth parents can have a lot of control in the kind of family that they would like to have raise their child. And there's the possibility in the future of a reunion between the birth parents and the adopted child, once the child is an adult. It's happening more and more today. Typically, an adoption is done through a public or a private agency or through an individual placement person, usually a private attorney. There are usually no expenses for the birth parents. Medical expenses may be paid through the agency or by the private adoption facilitator.
A prospective mother and father may begin to make adoption plans even before the child is born, but no release of their legal rights can occur until at least 72 hours after the child is born. Even after the release is signed, either parent may ask a judge to cancel the release. The decision to place a child for adoption becomes final after the judge approves the termination and the time for appeal has expired.
Now let's talk about the emotional aspect of placing a child for adoption. Just like abortion and parenthood, adoption has its own set of feelings and lifestyle changes that you'll need to be prepared for.
Reactions to putting a child up for adoption varies between woman to woman. Women may experience relief, closure, assurance. They may experience grief, depression, or loss. In some situations, women may experience long-term emotional effects, and it is important to remember again that these emotional reactions are normal and we need to deal with those emotions. It's no longer expected that a woman pretend like nothing happened. It's important that a woman who is the birth mother of a child deal with these emotions and speak to as many people as possible to help them deal with the situation.
I've gone on to establish a career for myself, very good career, and I think in my situation, having a baby and a child to take care of, it would have been harder to accomplish those goals. Could have been done, but would have been harder for myself to do those things, and being a single parent. I read a lot about adoption. I also read about parenting, and I just decided that for me at the time, adoption was the best thing to do. Knowing that the family that I placed my baby with is a good family and they all love each other so much, the pictures and letters I receive has really done a lot for me and helped me with the decision that I've made.
If you're considering adoption as a choice that might be right for you, remember, there are others who need to be involved in making that decision.
In the decision to place a child for adoption, the father has certain legal rights that must be considered. It is ultimately the decision of the birth mother whether or not to carry the pregnancy full term. Once the child is born, the father does have certain legal rights that must be considered unless he has been legally released from those rights.
As I said, a lot has changed about adoption in the last few years, and for some women, it's a choice that seems to make sense. It might be right for you, or it might not. But before you decide, be sure to review the information on adoption in your handbook. In fact, if you want to stop the tape and look through the information on adoption right now, please do. We've talked about a lot of stuff in this program, and you probably still have a lot of questions. That's okay. There's a lot to think about. Like I said before, there are times when life can seem jumbled up like the pieces in a kaleidoscope. So take some time to think about your options. As you do, please remember what we talked about at the beginning of this video. Gather as much information as you can. Then consider the impact your decision is going to have on your life and the others involved. And talk things over with at least one person you really trust. Someone who can help you put things in perspective. And then when you've really thought everything through, make a decision that's right for you. Making the decision may not get any easier, but I think you'll feel better knowing that you've really thought it through. Most of all, remember, there are people out there who are ready to help, who can help you give things a little twist so that they'll fall into place and make sense. All you have to do is ask. I know that isn't easy right now, but please try. Because while the decision is yours to make, it isn't something you have to face alone.
Please take some time to review the Some Things to Think About section in the handbook before making any decision regarding your pregnancy. And please feel free to contact any of the resources listed in the handbook for more in-depth information on making a decision that's right for you. If your pregnancy occurred because you have been sexually assaulted or raped, there are specially trained people who can help. The healthcare professional who gave you this video can provide you with more information about these resources and the services they offer.